U.S. fighter jets are having troubling aerial encounters in Arizona's restricted air combat training areas, which fits with a broader trend, according to a new report from the war zone. Pilots are reportedly encountering small, unidentified objects, sometimes in a swarm-like group of as many as 8. They're also seeing sightings of other objects, including some characterized as drones, flying at altitudes up to 36,000 feet and as fast as Mach 0.75. Another apparent small drone hitting the canopy of an F-16 Viper, causing damage. These incidents and many more all occurred in or around various military air combat training ranges in Arizona since January of 2020, according to Warzone.
These events are described in reports from the Federal Aviation Administration filed over roughly a 3-year period. And all of this, of course, comes as Congress just heard historic testimony on UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon. Jess, what in the world is going on here?
Aliens. It's aliens. Either that or they've recreated alien technology based on the spacecraft that they have. And I really think that when we get to the point of all of the whistleblowers we've had from the military and intelligence community over the past, half of a century, to now the point where we have over 40 people in the military intelligence community that are active corroborating this story, that we have over a dozen crashed craft and some with non-human biologics. Now, some people have called into question non-human biologics. That could mean a squirrel. Was a squirrel piloting a UAP traveling at 36,000 feet at Mach 75 when the average fighter jet is at about 0.8 to 1.2? I don't think so. I think when they say non-human biologics, they don't mean that it was a chimpanzee. I think they very well mean that this was something extraterrestrial. And I believe that they would consult with biologists before having that kind of a statement made, right? I understand David Grush's testimony he was being a whistleblower. He was talking about things that he's witnessed, things that he's heard from other people through a series of interviews that have been corroborated by Michael Schellenberger, who we interviewed on the program. And so I don't think it's a reach to say that it's very likely they're either replicating the alien craft technology or we are seeing some interactions with alien craft.
No, I don't think there's any doubt whatsoever that we actually not only have the aircraft, but we probably absolutely have these non-human we have these non-human biologics. God, I'm getting the word so messed up, Jess, but you get my point here, biologics. And I think what's interesting about all of this, as I think about it, having had a top secret government clearance, our government hides a lot of stuff. And even having a TS, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can see everything that's identified or classified rather as TS. Some of the stuff is sort of compartmentalized, meaning if you're at one agency, you can't necessarily say, well, hey, DOJ or hey, Department of Defense, I want to see all of your documents that also have a TS clearance. And so I'm not surprised that members of Congress have had a really difficult time getting access to this information, but I'm almost certain the government has something, and I'm almost certain they're not telling us the truth. And I wouldn't be surprised if not only members of Congress don't have access, Jess, I don't think the President of the United States would even have access to this information.
How outraged would you be, Shermichael, if we find out that the Pentagon is failing audits year over year because they're spending money all on recreating alien technology or technology like the ones that they've seen, where it looks like a drone, it hovers, it travels at very high altitudes and high speeds? What would you make of that? Would you be like, oh, that's a good use of the Pentagon's budget? Or would you be a little bit pissed off?
I mean, I would be curious. I would be pissed that they're lying and not telling us the truth. And I also would wonder, how much do they know about the universe that they're not telling us? How much do they know about our own existence that they're not telling us? I would imagine if they've had encounters with these beings, I presume they've communicated with them over the past several decades. I'm sure they've learned a lot more than how to fly a flying saucer or advanced technology. I'm sure some of the scientists and researchers that are involved asked piercing questions about our own existence. Why are we here? What does the future tell us about our projection and where we're going? I want to know those questions, Jess, or the answers to those questions, I should say.
Yeah, we have the questions. We need the answers. What about all of the History Channel at 3 a.m. documentaries of former intelligence and military officials that have risked their careers and their lives, a lot of them? We heard Grush talking about the potential threats of loss of human life, and he says he directed individuals who were under threat to the proper authorities. Just insane that it's that grave, but people are risking their security clearance and their personal safety. This is matters of national security. We know that worse things have been done to protect national security. Now, what do we make of this being the moment where suddenly we're taking very seriously all of these pilots' accounts of seeing things in these air bases, hearing and listening to on the floor of Congress, folks that are former Navy officials testifying to what they've heard from other members of the military and intelligence community and what they know? Why is now the moment? That's something that I think about a lot. What makes us ready? Has someone in the Defense Department just decided the public's ready, we can't hide this much longer, and now's the time that we have to start, slowly releasing evidence? We called this the soft launch of aliens here at Rising, which very well might be what it is. I'm kind of in the camp that makes the most sense to me, given what we know about, the real deep state, the military intelligence community.
I mean, think about this. We're still keeping things a secret pertaining to some Watergate information. We think about John F. Kennedy's assassination. Some of that information is still being kept a secret for reasons we don't even know, as most of those individuals, if not all of them, are no longer alive. And so this idea that we do have these biologics in somewhere in the military, I believe it. And I wonder, are we interrogating them if they're still alive? Are we doing research on them for the advancements of medicine and science? I mean, all of these questions are really, really crucial. And I just wonder who at the military determined that the American people just aren't ready for this information? Who's to determine that we're not ready to see these biologics? Are they hiding them? I'm sure they have video footage of them, Jess. I'm sure they have photos of them. Why not at least say, hey, we do have them. This is what they look like. More information to come soon. Why does the government, particularly unelected bureaucrats, get to decide what the American people are or are not ready to consume? I think most people are ready. I think a lot of people would have some very piercing questions about how long have they been here and what do we know. But I think generally speaking, most of the public, if not the international community, will probably welcome this information with open arms.
Yeah, I think it's a paternalistic policy to assume the general public isn't prepared to know that there's aliens, if there are aliens, or there's craft crash that we can't confirm is from another nation here on Earth and likely came from another planet, another galaxy, somewhere in outer space, not from Earth. I think people would be fine with knowing that. People are capable of taking in that information. It might be jarring at first, but no more jarring for the average citizen than someone in the military and intelligence community. Why do they believe, and I really think this is what it is, that they are somehow above us? That's where it comes from. To believe that government doesn't come from the consent of the governed, and in fact, there are people who know better than the general public. They're more intelligent, they're more emotionally stable, and therefore they should have access to this information in a way the rest of us can't. I don't think that makes sense. I'm also not sold on the argument that this is a matter of national security. That if we told the general public that somehow our country would be in crisis, we'd face new security threats from other countries. I'm not buying that either. I just don't believe it. I think it's a matter of human interest. And it's something that, regardless of borders, people should know about. To have aliens or crashed craft in the country. I think they should just make the information public, because I think they're losing trust of the general public by not doing so.
I mean, maybe they just think some serendipitous moment will happen, and then maybe they'll just say, hey, aha, they're here. They just arrived. I mean, look, mathematical probability theory tells us there is no way in the world, Jess, in a vast universe of billions and billions of galaxies, that we're the only life, and that there isn't some far superior life form with thousands and thousands of years of advanced technology that we can't really fathom. I think that's very unlikely. And I think, to your point, most people expect that. Most people believe that. We just want to know. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with letting people know. You don't have to necessarily reveal every military secret that the government has. We're not saying, hey, give us your strategic advantage over our adversaries such as Russia or China. We're merely saying, just give us acknowledgement that these things exist. How long have they come? What have you learned? And what does this mean about our very own existence? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I have a feeling that more and more whistleblowers are going to come out. And at some point, someone is going to reveal a video or a photo rather, that's going to flip this entire thing on its head. And the American people are going to say, you know what? We knew this all along. We believed it. Why did you guys lie?
Yeah, I think it's fascinating that it's been a narrative for so long that if there were an alien invasion, and this is thanks to movies and TV shows, that it would be super violent and they would like want to take over. I think it's important to bring this perspective into the conversation, which I think is a really good one, that we have like very meek aliens that are a bit socially awkward. They don't really want to be seen or engaged. And so that is funny, the prospect that we are far more violent than the aliens, and therefore that's why it hasn't been this imperial takeover, and that perhaps was a bit of a projection on behalf of the American media.
No, I think you're right. I mean, think about this. If you're 100,000 years more advanced than us, why would you need to be aggressive? I mean, you can literally wipe us out in the blink of an eye. And so I think the aggressor would be us. And if these beings are visiting us, maybe they're trying to give us a warning. Maybe they're trying to help guide us to a more peaceful future, a more equal future. Maybe they're trying to give us technology where we can really see all boats lift, right? Versus some, and while everyone else is in despair. And so I think there's a lot of potential for human good if the general public knew that these beings existed, and if we knew that if the government was actually communicating with them, because I think it'd give a lot of people hope, just hope for the future. A lot of people, if you look at what's going on with the economy, there's despair everywhere. Let's look forward to something that might give us hope. More Rising after this.